new episode of Steel Talks, Stephanie Werner-Dietz, EVP and Global Head of Human Resources, joins us to talk about how technology, shifting demographics, and evolving workforce expectations are transforming the workplace, and how a global steel and mining company like ArcelorMittal is preparing to be future-ready.
Today, I'm delighted to say that joining us on Steel Talks is Stephanie Werner-Dietz. Stephanie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm pleased to be here, Tom.
Before we get into the meat of it, give us a quick introduction to yourself, because we've heard so much on the course of this podcast about people in different ways, about the skills we need, the types of people, the shifts in the types of people we're recruiting. And that's very much your position in the company. So tell us a little bit about your role.
So I'm responsible for the HR organization globally, and I've joined the company about 3 years ago, and coming from the same position actually in Nokia. What I'm doing is setting the people strategy and the direction for the HR organization, which usually means we're translating what is needed from the business into the right people practices, people initiatives, in supporting the business to be sustainable, performing well, being future ready. And since people are at the heart of everything we do, it's a huge focus that we're having on people.
That piece about being future ready, I think, is really interesting. Just picking one aspect that I get asked about all the time as a futurist is about actually the change in the demographics of so many of our countries, particularly aging populations. And so many industries are facing this issue where many of the most skilled people, the most knowledgeable people, are starting to perhaps age out of organizations. Someone with your position and your perspective, what's your take on that sort of aging population, aging workforce, and how do you address that at ArcelorMittal?
And that's a great question, because me and my team have been looking into that for some time. I think that's so spot on. I guess not just for us as a steel and mining company, but for many companies, because this is the overall trend, right? A lot of these baby boomers who have been a very strong generation, they're now getting ready into that for the next phase of life. So we're losing them out of the workplace. And we're not just losing them, but we're losing also all their knowledge and their valuable experience. This is something we were debating internally quite a bit. What does it mean and what's the impact? So we started already to put a strategy in place. We really said, okay, what does it mean in terms of capturing the knowledge, making sure the experience is also not lost completely, but how do we make the new generation that we have also ready for it? And how do we translate that into the right initiatives, the right changes, the right offering, the right employee value proposition?
Let's drill down into that, because I think that some of the people we're losing, I mean, you say there's 4 generations in the workplace. How do you balance that? What have you found you have to do specifically to make ArcelorMittal an attractive place to bring those people in, to get the best of the best? What have you done differently for that generation?
I think it starts with listening, trying to really understand and not putting something in place that we believe should be attractive. We see already, of course, the technology they're using, what they expect in the workplace, and the degree of digitalization. On the other side, it's a lot about growth, opportunities, but then maybe in a different way, because there's also a high value of having a work-life balance. And I think we need to find how can we offer an environment, a workplace that gives them a chance to balance things, that gives them a chance to grow, to have learning opportunities. How can we create a culture that's attractive for those, which not necessarily excludes that it's then not attractive to Gen X or baby boomers or the millennials. I think it's not so much that what one generation likes is disliked by the other. Like everything in life, it's about a healthy balance and understanding, though, that you have components that would speak to all the different needs.
It's interesting, you mentioned their sort of learning opportunities. It's very much one of those things that's about keeping people, giving people that pathway, that journey to continue their career. Yeah, what else do you have to do in the sort of current environment to not just attract people, but keep people, to retain people inside the organization when there are, exciting opportunities around, whether that's for in other organizations or for entrepreneurship? Have you found that the sort of the methods for retention have changed?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. We need to make sure that the way we offer learning will be different maybe than it was in the past. We feel to really make a skill shift and really help people to grow is a lot with collaboration, shadowing, having a mentor, and physically also being together. And that's also part of our strategy when we have people going into retirement, that we make sure that they early enough paired up with someone who might take over and not have the full experience yet. So we really have to have a structured system sometimes to approach how we systematically make sure the job goes over, the role goes over, the responsibility, but with that also the understanding, the experience, and the know-how. The part here that kicks in a lot is also that you have someone that advises you, maybe guides you, maybe give you some mentoring tips, or is coaching you by unlocking your own potential by asking the right questions. We are, for example, trying out not just regular mentoring programs, but also reverse mentoring programs. And I think people value that. I think this interaction between people still remains critical.
That feels particularly important now because one of the things that I've noticed as we've been recording this podcast is actually the nature of the roles that you are recruiting for and finding people for is much more diverse than you might expect as an outsider to a modern steel company. And actually, I'm meeting people with a whole range of different skills in the organization, huge amounts of sort of research, development, a range of different scientific capabilities. What does the profile of the workforce of a steel company look like these days?
Yeah, I love what you're saying because before I joined, I had even the same picture a little bit, right? So it's very traditional, it's very heavy manufacturing. What does it mean, right? But I have to say, I have been really surprised about the portfolio of roles and jobs, and on top with our global scale that we can offer. And you're so right, because we can offer areas of metallurgists, we have geologists in the company. You can work on research on the latest technologies. We have a lot of process optimization engineers because steel making is a very sophisticated process. And we're using more and more data to guide it or to control it. We're using more and more digitalization. We are using more automation. We're using sensors. We're using drones. So it's far more exciting, maybe, as people from the outside would think.
We talked about training and developing people, particularly people with those values once they get inside the organization. But obviously, you're looking at an external talent pool as well. And that leads us to another topic that I think is really important, which is education. So I hear from a lot of employers that they're not necessarily seeing the skills, the capabilities that they want from people leaving education. From your perspective, looking at this sort of diverse range of people, what would you do? What are you trying to do in terms of the education system to create more of the people with the skills, the values, the aptitudes that you need and want?
We cannot just, as an employer, stand still and hope that we have the right education and the right skills available on the market. Yeah, there are multiple ways that we're engaging with universities. Our executives or senior leaders, with their expertise, go and hold lectures. They are really contributing and participating to the programs the universities are running. And that way we can already get into first-hand contact with the students, and they will get to know a lot of the expertise from our company, learn about our products and what we're doing. But it's also a contribution to the education directly. And then we offer a lot of apprenticeships. We're offering PhD assignments. We offer sometimes real project. We have a project, a problem-solving statement, and we're together with a team of students and the university solve this together. We have also communities where we have great example even in Brazil, where we are helping people in the community to become more employable. So this is not about high skill university degrees. This is for basic technology understanding to really make them fit for the life and that they're employable. By the way, we have a great resource internally because we have our own ArcelorMittal University. This is so great. We have an internal university that builds up curriculums for all different kind of technologies, for leadership, for all kind of behavioral things, all kind of skills. The universities will provide learning paths, curriculums. It's a really nice mixture of all kind of way of learning, and that everybody can use worldwide within ArcelorMittal.
We can't talk about skills without addressing the elephant in the room, which right now is AI and automation. It has two direct effects on this conversation. One is it changes the nature of the skills that we are recruiting for, but it also potentially offers an alternative to a human workforce. We've seen a lot of news recently about the impact of existing AI tools on recruitment levels. What's your take on that as someone who's responsible for people, but perhaps looking at a workforce of the future that isn't just people?
I saw some interesting articles, that in the future, the roles of head of HR is not just head of human resources or head of people, but head of workforce, because your workforce could be half agents and half people, human, So there will be a mix in the future. And I think AI and digitalization and generative AI, they're all enablers. And we need to make sure that the basic skill or AI literacy is addressed and targeted as a company, so that we have a common basic understanding. What does AI mean and where does it help us? And it's not so much what can AI do for us. It's more about how do we unlock the benefits of AI through our people. But that's a journey, and the journey is already starting. I love this topic, by the way. AI and skills. Skills for me is the currency of the future.
On a level really of sort of qualified optimism about the future from a subject of AI and automation in the workforce. Given it is a very competitive marketplace for the best and the brightest, what do you do to make ArcelorMittal a really attractive place to work? And one of the things that occurs to me from the outside in, particularly in what is a very globally minded sort of youth now, is that global nature. That must be an enormous appeal.
Absolutely. The global scale that we have offers, of course, also global opportunities. So that means our rotation programs not necessarily are within one country, could be, but they could also go abroad, and they could go far abroad. Possibilities are almost, I wouldn't say endless, but they are in a way, because we have not just from the different roles and jobs that we have, but also from the sheer scale. And there's so much opportunity to work in different countries with different nationalities and different cultures. And I think that's also the specific culture of ArcelorMittal, that we're so international, and not just for one particular job role. We can almost offer it for all kind of different roles. What we're seeing is that often people leave because they're unhappy about their career, right? They're not progressing fast enough, or they don't see where they should go next. And that helps us, of course, that we have that range to offer. And we know that's very important. So we're putting a lot of emphasis on internal programs that would help people to thrive through that opportunity that we can offer. One thing I also would like to here mention, that for us, it's very important also to keep our people safe. People need to be physically safe, but also psychologically safe.
Brilliant. I think that's a very interesting place to leave it. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for joining us.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you so much.